Hey Marlo, what's up, beautiful? Peace, love, and light, beloved. Peace, peace. Hey Marlo, peace, y'all. What's going on? Rico Brown, peace, love, and light, beloved. What's going on, man? What's going on? What's going on? See where everybody at. What's going on, y'all? Peace, peace, peace. Marlo, you still in here? Marlo, are you still in here? Marlo, the OG, are you still in the building? I ain't been on here in a while, y'all. What's going on? But today, I just wanted to talk about the generation, man. This generation that we in today. This generation that we in today. I want to say it's Generation Z and Generation Alpha and Generation Beta. I'm saying Z until now. These children born in the 90s until today. That's what this conversation is about because I can give us chosen ones and those who vibrate in love and light some understanding of what's going on. Why things seem so weird down here. We're not gonna, get into the whole extraterrestrials and the other beings and species we may be sharing this planet with. I'm just gonna talk about us earthlings, us earth souls. Jesus loves you as well. I do know that. I do know that, and I love you and appreciate you for saying that because I see you as my brother or sister. Yeah, but today I ain't been on here in a while, but I got a fairly good topic of discussion. And today's topic of discussion is the generations and the difference in the generations. I'll give a couple minutes for a few more people to get in here. I'm Generation X. I'm Generation X. If you know what generation you are, put it in the chat. What generation are you? They say that I'm Generation X, and what it says right here, Generation X is from 1965 to 1980. 1965 to 1980. In those 15 years, GP, what's going on, beloved? Salute, 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 beloved. What's going on? So today's conversation is about these generations. And I'm from Generation X. Apparently, I'm from Generation X from 1965 to 1980. I was born in 79. So I guess I fall under Generation X. And then before us is the baby boomers, right? Before us is the baby boomers. And these generations going 15 years. You are the millennials. Okay, the millennials, the millennials. That means you're born from 81 to 96. That's a good generation, actually. Millennials have all the good stuff. Millennials have all the good stuff. But Generation Z is from 1997 to 2012. And then after that, we got Generation Alpha. And then we got Generation Beta, which is 2025 to 2039. So the betas just got here. These new babies. I don't really believe in all of this. I don't think it's every 15 years. I don't think it goes like that. I think it might be a little more. So I'm gonna go from generation the millennials, which is no, not the millennials, excuse me. Generation Z. From Generation Z to Generation Beta. Generation Z to Generation Beta. And Generation Z is from 1997 to 2012. 1997 to 2012. So we're going to go from 1997 to 2027. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go from 1997 to 2027. We're going to do the last 30 years. We're going to do the last 30 years. And this is not really for the 30-year-olds. This is more for the the alphas and the betas. This is more for the alphas and the betas. This is more for the alphas and the betas, but some of you 90s babies can fit in there. Some of you 90s babies can fit in there too. And what I mean, and what I'm saying with the basis of this conversation is I'm noticing there's a spike in New York City. In New York City and all the ghettos across America. Because I know this is not just New York City either. I know it's not. And right here in the United States, what I see is going on in New York City is there has been a lot of young people being unalived and harmed due to gun violence. And not only is there a lot of young people being unalived and harmed due to gun violence, the people who are doing this violence are their babies themselves. They're 14, 15, 16, 17. They're babies themselves. And there's nothing new under the sun. So we're not going to pretend like it's more violent now than it was when I was growing up in the 80s and in the 90s. By no means is New York City or anywhere as worse as it used to be. However, there is a lot of senseless violence that these children are enacting on themselves and others. And not only is there senseless violence, there's a lot of crimes against the elderly. There's a lot of crimes against the elderly. There's a lot of crimes against the weak. And these were things, even when I was growing up, that we did not do. We did not do. Our violence was pretty much concentrated in our particular field of violence, if that makes any sense. It was to our own people, and it was a certain age group. My age group was beefing with the same age group. And when we did do stuff like, robberies and crimes that was horrible crimes, I'm not saying justifying or saying any crime is better than the other, but they weren't against the elderly and the older people. When we seen women, even when we was in our days of doing stick ups and robberies, we didn't do stuff to women. We didn't do stuff to women. We didn't harm babies. There was certain rules and certain things that, and it wasn't even like it was a rule. It was just innate in us not to do certain things, right? It was innate in us not to do certain things. Even when we were 13, 14, 15, and we just started, smoking a little something, drinking our 40s and stuff like that, when we saw certain individuals, mothers or some of the elders from the neighborhood, we hid the 40, we hid the blunt. If we had a pistol out, we hid the pistol. and we say, "Hey, Miss Jenkins," or "Hey, Miss Betty, how you doing?" We spoke, we helped her with her bags, and then we went back to our gangster stuff when the elderly walked through, the elderly women or the elderly gentlemen, when they walked through, the elders walked through. Then we went back to talking how we talked, spoke how we spoke, even cursing, even cursing. As foul as our mouths was, when we spoke to a elderly person or someone who was older than us, whether it was our mother or our mother's friends, we didn't curse. We tucked the cursing, and we pretended to speak in terms and ways that we wasn't accustomed to speaking. We could have had the foulest mouth, and as soon as Miss Jenkins walk up, how you doing? You stand up? Yes, ma'am, I'm staying out of trouble. Yes, no, ma'am, no, I didn't do that. Yes, we said yes, we said no. We didn't curse. We lowered the music. We had the utmost respect for our elders, and it didn't necessarily have to be our family members. It could be an elderly person we didn't even know. When we was 14, 15, 16, we might have had a pistol on us. We might have just did a robbery, or we plotting on our next robbery. And if an elderly person came through, whether they was Hispanic, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Jamaican, whatever they was, it didn't matter, and they spoke to us, and they told us to turn our music down. Yes, man, we turned our music down. Or they told us the smoke was bothering them or whatever. Even though we hid the blunt, we might put the blunt out and we apologized and we moved on. We found another space to hang out and chill if it was a problem. It ain't like that no more. It ain't like that no more, y'all. It ain't like that no more. These kids, I'm gonna say kids, I'm not saying children, I'm gonna say kids. These kids, they don't have no respect for their elders. They have no respect, not even their own mothers. I have a video up of the guy DDG. Hey Marlo, what's good? What's good? I have a video up of the young brother DDG, and I think his circumstances was a little different because I believe that brother had a full on spiritual attachment. But in the video that I have up of the guy DBG who unalived the other 17-year-old, I think he was 21 or 22, and he unalived the 17-year-old. His circumstances are a little different, but in that video, you can hear him cursing his own mother out, cursing his mother out, disrespecting his mother while he was staying up in there, eating up her food. 22 years old, still living with mom, eating up her food, cursing his own mother out. In that video, that was a clear depiction of what goes on every day in society. This is what's going on today in society. And I took a little trip. I was down south and I got to see some family members and stuff like that. And I noticed most of the children down there, they still said, "Yes, ma'am." They still said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, ma'am." My little nieces and nephews and little cousins and stuff, they was in their 20s, 16, 17, and they still was saying, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am." They still was respectful. It's not like it was back in the day, but to a certain degree. In these cities, in these northern cities, not so much. Not so much, y'all. Not so much. These children have the attention span of a jellyfish. I mean, of a goldfish, and it's not their fault. It's not their faults. It's these new parents. It's these new parents. It's these parents who are, you know, Generation X and the millennials. It's the millennial parents and the Generation X parents. The millennials and the Generation X parents, they're not like, the baby boomers or that silent generation. They're not like our parents. They're not like our parents. And don't get it wrong, Generation X, which is my generation, we're the beginning of the millennial parents. We're the beginning of the millennial parents and the Generation Z parents, meaning we're the first of the we don't say no. We're the first of that. We started this no, don't say no trend. And we say, oh, we want to give our children what we didn't have, right? And some of the things that we didn't have that we trying to give our children, it might have been good. It might have been good to struggle a little bit. It might have been good to struggle a little bit. It might have been good to not have every pair of sneakers that you wanted. And that's what's going on with this generation. And trust me, I was a parent at 17. My daughter was born in 97. And I was one of them parents. Every Michael Jordan that came out, every polo, every single thing that came out, my daughter had it. My daughter had it. You know what I mean? And she was when she was 2, 3, 4 years old, she already had all the sneakers that was out, all the outfits that was out. So I'm not, judging nobody because I was like that too. But our excuse for not telling these children no, and our excuse for over spoiling these children is saying that we want to give our children what we didn't have. And I kind of had a decent upbringing. I was in a bad neighborhood. Y'all know my story. However, I didn't want for nothing. I didn't want for nothing. My grandmother, we had everything we needed. Did I get a pair of sneakers every month? No. Did I get every single pair of sneakers? I didn't get any of the sneakers that came out that was over $100. My grandmother didn't spend her money like that. I didn't get any of that. But we had a full refrigerator at all times. We had something to eat. We had a full free refrigerator and a full deep freezer. You understand what I'm saying? We had the Nintendo. We had the or not the PlayStation. We had the Nintendo. We had the Sega Genesis. We probably ain't have all the games, but we had the console. We had the console. You know what I mean? We had we was dressed. We didn't go without. We never was hungry. If anything we needed for a school trip, it's 40, 20, $30 for this trip or for that. It was always the money was there. My grandmother took real good care of us. But I didn't get every pair of sneakers that came out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get the North Face. I wanted a North Face. My grandmother brought me a First Down. She said, "Boy, it looked just like a North Face." And I was hot. You know what I'm saying? I sold the coat, told her I got robbed, sold the coat for the money, and then when they robbed somebody for a North Face, Lord forgive me. But I'm just saying. So we didn't get everything that we wanted. Well taken care of, but we didn't get everything that we wanted. We didn't have the latest of everything that came out. And we started this trend of getting our children every single thing that comes out. Whatever's popping, they got. All of these kids, all of them. And I'm saying this because I was a parent in the 90s, 17, 18 years old when my daughter was born. And I remember everybody didn't have what she had. I remember. I remember in the 90s, I was in the streets. So everybody wasn't fly like my daughter was fly. Everybody didn't get their hair done from the Africans or pay the $50, $60 to get their hair done. Most of the children back then had them little four pigtails and four little ponytails with the little balls on it or the little snappy things. It's wild. I was just talking to my son about this. Yeah, yep, yep. Mhm. And yeah, they're losing their humility. But let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I remember I used to over spoil my child, right? Because I was in the streets and I could afford to do that. But I remember everybody's child didn't have 15 pairs of sneakers. Everybody's child didn't have the braids from the salon. Everybody's child didn't have jewelry and stuff like that. Everybody did not have these things. Everybody didn't have multiple North Faces and multiple book bags. I remember. Nowadays, they all do. All of them. Even the parents who can't afford it, they still find a way to get the Jordans. They still find a way to get the whatever book bags is popping and whatever coats is popping. They still find a way to get it. And because these children are not hearing no, when they hear no, if the parent doesn't tell them no and they're not accustomed to hearing no, what do you think how you think they're gonna accept this when a teacher tells them no? Or another adult tells them no, or they can't have, or they're not allowed to. This is when they're going to start to break laws and break rules because they're not accustomed to hearing no. They're not hearing no at home. We act like it's a bad thing to tell a child no. It's okay to say no. You know why? Because no lets the child know that I'm not obligated to do everything you want. It also lets them know that you are not entitled to anything. There should always be a bartering, give and take system with our children. And this is why we are raising this next generation of drill music, disrespectful, non emotional, non communicative, non focusing generation of children. And there's so much that goes into this. And at the root and the core of it is the parenting. There's no more parenting. There is, because I'm not around as much as I should be because I'm working or I'm doing whatever I have to do. And God forbid you have some kind of strained relationship with this child, right? What part of no do you not understand? I remember that, the end of the O. I remember that, Marlo. What part of no you do not understand? And we ain't even used to, we asked one, you probably had the one, maybe twice. You be like, Grandma, could I have? No. But Grandma, could I boop, 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 boop? She gonna say no again? She ain't giving you no reasoning. If you could persisted and asked a third time, oh, you was in trouble. So we got that one no, and we might have been cool with the no, especially if it was something we knew we couldn't get anyway, right? You'd be like, no. Oh, Grandma, could I get the new Michael Jordans? No. I ain't even gonna proceed. I know what she gonna say. They too expensive. It's five of y'all in here. I ain't got Michael Jordan money. I don't work for Michael Jordan. I already knew everything she was gonna say, right? So I knew certain things I didn't ask for. And then when we grow up, because we had to know and we disliked the no, we tend to give our kids everything they ask for. And now they don't even have to ask for it. Why? Because me included, this new generation of parents, now because you wear the expensive stuff, whatever it may be. I'm saying Michael Jordan, but whatever it may be, now because you wear it like I was wearing it, so now my children don't have to ask to get fly or to wear the nice stuff because I wear it. So now they represent me. So now they wear it. So now they don't have to ask for the Michael Jordans or the polo or the whatever the case may be. They don't have to ask for it. I wear it, so I make sure they wear it. They're a representation of me. So now they spoil you. They get whatever they want, and then when they want something, outside of that, which is it's become electronics now, right? I remember when the Beats headphones first started popping. My daughter, she about to be 30 now, but she was probably about 14 to 15. She said, "Dad, I want the Beats headphones." And she didn't want the regular ones. These when they started making them for the rock stars. I think she wanted the I can't remember if it was Aerosmith or I don't remember. It was some rock and roll group, but they had the particular beats. Let's say they was the Aerosmith beats, right? The regular beats might have been $100 and something dollars. The Aerosmith was like two and some change. Now this was about 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago when the beats first start popping. I go get the beats. She had the beats. Maybe I think I got them for her for Christmas. It might have been or something. Something happened in January. I can't remember if she got good grades. I can't remember what it was, but maybe less than 90 days later, she did something. I don't know if she was good in school because my baby was a genius. She was so smart. So she said, Dad, I said, so what you want, baby? She said, oh, the same beat headphones, but this time don't get Aerosmith, get the Rolling Stones version of it in blue. So I said, I just brought you a pair of headphones. She said, well, I know, but the other one broke them. My other daughter broke them. At this time, my other daughter probably like 4 or 5 years old. So I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, I let her hold them and she broke them. So get me the what's the name ones?" And she just acts so regularly. And my baby's a good baby, so I ain't using her for example. She getting her masters right now. She's finishing up on her masters. She graduated with honors. Never had a problem out of this child or nothing. And she wasn't super ungrateful. She wasn't one of them type of children. I'm just showing you how I spoiled her so much that she just asked for a whole nother $300 pair of headphones like it wasn't nothing. Yeah, yeah. Well, get another. I want those again. And I'm like, I could not imagine me not only getting a $300 present for myself. I couldn't even imagine that. But let's bring it back to my day. And my grandmother brought me a $100 something, whatever it was, right? And I had the audacity to let something happen to whatever that thing was and ask for another one. Put it in the chat if you know what I'm saying. You knew not to even ask for it. You ain't even asking for it. You don't even ask for it because you like, I know I ain't. I can't believe I got the first one, and you let something happen to the first one, and then you get another one, right? So I give that example because I'm just showing y'all. Even though my child was a good child, she wasn't spoiled, she wasn't disrespectful, and none of that. But I had already conditioned her to, we just ask. We ain't, it don't, the cost, the price don't matter. I want it, go get it. Ain't no knowing their vocabulary, right? And I am one who helped promote this stuff. I even believe with the way these children dress and the way these parents is. I see my younger family members now, they're in their 30s and they got their little 12, 14, 15-year olds. And, I watch them and I know, and I hear how old I sound saying, well, you gonna get him another pair of sneakers or you gonna get her another pair of sneakers? But I knew I was the same way. I knew I was the same way. And what we're doing is, I was just fortunate, but I'm saying overall, this new generation, my daughter about to be 30. I ain't talking about her. I got a 20-year-old and I got a 15-year-old. I'm talking about those generations, the ones under them, right? Man, you can't tell them no. They don't want to work. They don't want to work for nothing. You can't tell them no. They got phones in their hand. This is the apple. We already know from the Bible. Eve bit the apple, right? And this was the tree of the fruit was from the tree of knowledge, tree of good and evil. And here we got it right here in our hand. So these kids, they have everything they need to know right here in their hand. So you can't tell them nothing. They can Google, they can ask Siri, they can ask all these devices any question and learn the answer to it. And they already done studied the answer because they come ask you shit and you think you shooting from the hip like we used to. We thought everything we got was from our mind. Either we knew it or we didn't, or we heard something about it, right? So we answer these questions like that. Man, these children already, they got the facts in their hand, but they still asking you, to see what's going on. So you can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them nothing. If Google say the Bulls won a championship in 1993, and you say, well, I'm not sure. I think he left in 94. I think it was 93 or 94. I think it was 94, 95. You was there. You remember. You might be a year too off, but you remember. Man, these kids you don't know what you talk, and then you start telling them something real, and because you wasn't right about Michael Jordan and what year he won the championship, some trivial bullshit. Oh, well, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. You was wrong about this, and you wasn't right when you said this. You can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them nothing because they have all the knowledge right here in their hand, right? So they already have all the knowledge they need, so you can't teach them nothing. You giving them whatever they want, and they don't see it as nurturing or as love. It becomes natural, like rain. It comes natural, like oxygen. You know what I'm saying? And the reason how you know that is not appreciated, the reason how you know is because they have no concept of money. They have no concept. You done got them in this system of just giving, 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 giving. They just ask, 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 ask. So when you say, what do you think, money grows on trees? They're going to be like, I don't know where money grows, but I know every time I ask you, you give it. So give it. And the minute you don't have it, it becomes a problem because you done created this cycle of just giving. There's no bartering. There's no earning. You didn't make them earn nothing. You didn't make them earn nothing. They asked for money to go to. I got a 15-year-old. They stop at Dunkin' Donuts every day after school. They stop every day, her and her friends. And every day they buy something. Every day they buy something. Every day. So, when you do it every day, there's no stopping. The minute you say, no, I don't got it, they're upset now. But it's not their fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. You know why? These kids that don't wash dishes, these kids that don't make tuna fish sandwiches, don't make egg salad, these kids that don't make peanut butter and jelly, these kids that don't eat leftovers, it's not their fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault that they got McDonald's on their brain. It's your fault they got McDonald's on their brain. It's your fault that they got Domino's on their brain. It's your fault. Because you didn't when they was 12 and 8 years old, or whatever age you deem appropriate. Because I'm not even gonna say when you deem appropriate, because I'm not gonna say no name. These kids is 14 and 15 and don't know how to do nothing. And then when you ask the mothers, is well, I'm gonna show her. Well, she gonna. They 14 and 15. I knew how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I can't even remember. I'm not even making this up because I've been cooking hot dogs and hamburgers and scrambling eggs since probably 6 or 7. So I probably was making peanut butter and jelly at 4 or 5 years old. Boiling eggs at 4 or 5 years old. These kids can't make a peanut butter and jelly. They don't even know what egg salad is. They don't even know what egg salad is. I make a big old pot of spaghetti for the house. You know who eats it? Me. These kids don't want it the next night. And y'all know, like I know, put it in the chat. Spaghetti is the best the next day. Y'all know, like I know. Lasagna, spaghetti, even fried chicken. Cold piece of fried chicken tastes better the next day than it do when you cooked it. But these kids don't know because they don't eat leftovers. You ask them what they want McDonald's. They want KFC. They want Popeyes. Or they want you to order some pizza. If you tell them we gonna have peanut butter and jelly, they don't even, or tuna fish. Or we gonna make tuna. We gonna have tuna fish sandwiches. And what else? Tuna fish. It's y'all fault. It's our fault. It's our fault. What job they doing this summer? Yeah, because man, and as these things are getting more and more expensive, what we don't realize is outside of the gas prices, outside of the food prices, outside of the bills, outside of all these other things, we have children that we have conditioned to burn money at an alarming rate. And this is just, I ain't get into the moral aspect of it. I didn't get into the disrespect yet. I didn't get into the unaliving that they're doing with this drill music. I didn't get into these little boys not wanting girlfriends and these little girls not wanting boyfriends. Not saying that, they should at a certain age, but even having the idea of family in their minds, even having the idea of family in their minds, or the authority or the structure of what a man is and what a woman is, and some of the morals and principles that was kind of natural in our upbringing because you saw it. Whether it was in your home or not, it was still your friend's home. It was there. Your other friend's home. It was there. Then you went to school and the teachers put you in your place about certain things. Nowadays, not so much. From 1 to 5, they are sponges. That's right. That's how we learn everything. My grandmother, like I tell everybody, all my brothers, we all can cook a Thanksgiving meal. All of us. All 5 of us. You know why? My grandmother cooked from the bed. I say this all the time. She cooked from the bed. So that's how all my brothers know how to cook. She put in there, she'll get the beans and she'll bust open a bag of beans, drop them in the water, start the rice, put the turkey in the oven, or bake the chicken, because she, whatever she was doing, and she'll go right in her room. And then she'll call one of you. Boy, the water boiled off them beans yet? Where's the water at? Well, turn it off. Add some salt. Put a pinch of salt on there. How the chicken looking? Peel aluminum foil off. It's almost done. Pull aluminum foil off. So you knew, all right, you pull aluminum foil, that's gonna let it crisp at the end. It's almost done. You could tell by the water, you begin to learn certain things. And then you had to fend for yourself. So you learn how to cook. You learn how to cook. You couldn't throw food away, so you understood that leftovers was still food. Leftovers was still food. We couldn't just throw our food away when we got up from the table when we was little. So that plate had to be expected. We had to make sure that the food, everything was done. The chicken was ate right. The bone was clean. You ain't just throw away no whole plate. I just see these kids throw away whole plates of food, and it's not a strict thing or being old or old school or nothing like that. It's values. It's values. I was working a job. You know how much it almost it irked my soul to throw food away. And some may say, well, that's just an old school, and that was mean, and the way they raised the kids was a little meaner back then. But it created a value because it showed you how important it was to have a plate in front of you, how special it was to have a plate in front of you. Everybody didn't have a plate in front of them. Everybody didn't have food. You understand what I'm saying? So when you have food in front of you, we was taught to respect that food. It's a respect thing. It's not just about the food, it's about the money, it's about respect in general. Knowing that this everything you have was earned. Everything you have, somebody worked their blood, sweat, and tears to get you. And your parents always remind you, turn them damn lights off. I ain't worked 18 hours the other day for you to be paying Con Ed with my money. You think I work for Con Ed, boy? Turn them damn lights off. Or close my window, letting all my good air out here, all the damn hours I work. They let you know consistently that these things were given to you because somebody worked hard for them. So it installed it in your mind. So you valued the plate that was in front of you. So you didn't just throw food out. You valued it. When your mom actually gave you something or brought you something, you appreciated it because you didn't get it all the time. When you asked for something and she brought it or they brought it for you, you cherished it because it wasn't just yes, you just wasn't giving stuff. So these kids nowadays, they got so much shit, they don't even care. You go out, it's every now and again. I stopped buying for certain people because I used to see something. Oh, I think that's nice, and I'll pick it up for them, and I'll spend my good $100, $150 on something, and the kid never wear it. And you be like, it's in the closet with all the other good stuff they got because they got so much stuff. I seen something the other day that I never heard of. The kid said he needed sneakers for basketball practice. I said, boy, don't you got a whole closet full of old sneakers? No, he wanted new sneakers for basketball practice. I ain't never heard of that. You actually used to play basketball in your old shit. It actually gave you more grip. I don't know how many people who play sports in the chat, but put it in the chat if you know what I'm saying. We play sports in old sneakers, not only because we couldn't afford to put new sneakers on just to play basketball, not only because of that, but because you broke them in real good and it was actually better to play. I had this 14-year-old child tell me that he needed new sneakers to play sports in. New sneakers to play sports in. And the sneakers were brought to play sports in. And guess what, y'all? They were only used to play brand new sneakers, only used for sports. And y'all know how much these good sneakers cost. They ain't got to be Michael Jordan or LeBron. It's some players you never even heard of, but I'm telling you, they sneakers is $200. It's some players you never even heard of. And they sneakers are almost $200. And these kids want them just to practice in, just for basketball, not even for. I could not even imagine telling my grandmother or my father. My father came around years later, but I was already in the streets. But I couldn't even imagine me or none of my friends. It's not just in my household. I couldn't imagine none of my friends going to ask their mom, could they get a pair of sneakers just for basketball practice? They didn't even play sports and they understood that them busted up sneakers you got that I brought you last year that you ruined before the year was out. Them is your basketball sneakers, boy. They gonna work better than the new sneakers. You asked me to go get them Michael Jordans. I don't got Michael Jordan money. Remember that? Yeah. And this is what's going down. And you can't tell them no. You can't tell them no. You can't tell them no. You can't take them from up under the air condition. Nope. You can't pull them off the game. Nope. You can't pull them off their phone. No, I got whole videos where a student assaulted a teacher for taking her phone, she told a young lady she can't have her phone. She confiscated the phone, and the young lady proceeded to jump in this grown woman's face and got the punching on that grown lady, and that grown lady forgot she was at work. She forgot she was at work. She forgot she was at work. And for her trying to confiscate, oh, you saw that one? Yeah. For her trying to confiscate this young lady's phone. First of all, it's a school. Second of all, if she takes your phone, she took you ain't supposed to have it on in school anyway. But that's the parents' fault. And the parents gonna be the first one. Now, granted, I probably wouldn't want nobody putting their hand on my child either. Right? But deep down in my heart of hearts, I would have blamed myself for that. I would have knew I was wrong for that. I would have knew that was my fault. I would have been upset had she put her hands on my child, whether my child hit her first or not. But I would have knew that I was at fault for that because I know the role that I play. I know the role that I play. First of all, I supposed to taught this little girl that an adult is an adult. If an adult tell you to do something, you do it. As long as it don't cause you no harm or put you in no harm, you do it. Especially someone of authority as a teacher, a family member, an elder, one of your friends' parents, or whatever the case may be. As long as they're not trying to harm you or hurt you, if they tell you to do something, you do it. So that's one. That would have diffused the whole problem right there. Even if the child was attached to the phone, the adult told me to give it up. I gotta give it up. I'll get in trouble at home. Let me just give it up. That's one. Two, you allow them to get attached to the phone. Three, you got them comfortable in their mind, thinking that they have just as much rights as an adult. Yeah, I've heard these children say, "I respect those who respect me." I'm only gonna respect those who respect me. If she don't respect me, I'm not respecting her. I done heard these children say this. These kids say this. No. If the person is older than you, they don't have to respect you. They may have to say something harshly or disrespectful to put you in check or to put you in a line or to get your attention, or they just might be emotionally charged with what's going on. And they may say something that you may deem disrespectful, but you shut the hell up. You shut up. You take it. And you know what that does? And I know it's gonna be parents in here who don't agree. I got a family member who told an elder who raised that family member. This elder was in a late 80s. And one of my younger family members told the elder, don't talk to my child like that. Like the elder didn't raise me, you, and our parent. I said, what the hell's wrong with you? Oh, well, you know how she is. She's so mean. You know how she was mean to us. I ain't gonna let her talk to my child like that. So, so what? She don't mean no harm. That's who she is. And it was over some the kid running around barefooted. Girl, put socks on that baby. That baby running around here, they gonna get pneumonia. That's just what old people think. Put some socks on. Let her put some socks on. Put some shoes on. She's saying it from a nurturing point. She honestly believed that the baby gonna get the pneumonia if the baby running around with no shoes and socks on. She think the baby gonna get the pneumonia. The child running up and down into everything, and the elder is just doing what elders do. Child, stop running. You're gonna slip and bust your head on that end table. Remember, we thought the end table was so dangerous. The end table, you can't run by the end table. Don't jump by the end table. The end table, you're gonna bust your head on that end table. We all thought we was gonna bust our head on the end table or the coffee table. We call it. You know, back in the day, they didn't call it wasn't the coffee table. It was the end table, right? Stop running, child. That child keep running. Oh Lord, these children. That's all the elder doing. They doing what elders do. Because your child is running, your child is barefooted, your child is. You can't tell a child no. We sitting here talking. The child jumped into the conversation 5 times already. When we'd have been popped back jack slap. I call it jack slap. You know, you get the back knuckles. You'd have been jack slap. You answer the question. They ask mommy or auntie a question. You jump in there. You answer the question. You'd have been jack smack. Pop before you even knew it. You ain't even realize it. On the ground. And it's not abuse. It's not about being abusive or the old school. It sets morals and principles and values into these children. And these morals and principles and values, if these children had it, the world wouldn't be like the world is today and how the world is going. The wisdom, that's right. The women is the wisdom. And you sit and you listen to them. You know what I mean? And they might be a little off. They might be a little old school in their delivery, but you sit there and you listen to it. It builds character. It builds character because those elderlies, them big mamas, and those elders, that generation of women, they're falling off, they're dying off slowly, y'all. And it's generation Z and generation X. Are we gonna be able to hold a mantle? Are we gonna be able to be there to hold a mantle? Are we gonna be able to teach these kids, or are they even gonna want to hear you? Probably not. Probably not. And it's starting in the home. It's starting in the home because the home is just. I said it the other day. When these children are on their phone and they're in the video game all day, every day, right? When they're on their phone or in the video game all day, every day, when something got their constant attention all day, every day, you, real life, me, you, everything that happens in the real world outside of this phone or their computer or their video game is the NPC. The what is it? NPC, non-player character. I just learned this term a few months ago. A non-player character, an NPC. What that means is that is the player in the video game that does not have an active role. That is the person in the movie is called the stand-in, right? It's called the not the stand-in. I forgot what they call it in the movie when you ain't got a no good role. You just on the side. Y'all know the name. Put it in the chat. That's who we become. The extra. Thank you. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. That's what you become. We become the extra. Life, real life becomes the extra. Their life is inside the phone or inside the video game. That's what their life is. They go to school 8 hours a day. If your kid go to school, if the child goes to school, these children don't even want to go to school. That's a whole nother story. I've been away from society for a long time now. So now that I'm reacclimating into society, because I was just out of society for the last 7 years, I'm seeing a change. And then before then, I was going for 5 years. So I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing a change. Everybody's wrestling to get these kids to school. Everybody's wrestling. Put it in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. You may be a little older. I don't know your age. You might be too young, too old. But if you in that sweet spot in that middle, tell me if you see it. They got to wrestle with these kids to go to school. They don't want to go to school, and it's a back and forth every morning. It's a back and forth every morning. Why? Because anything outside of the video game or the cell phone is what they call a non-playing character. It's outside of their scope of what they want to do. And what they want to do is play the video game all day, watch social media, post on social media all day, every day. That's what they want to do. So anything outside of that, this is why they're agitated when you ask them questions. This is why they're so short. This is why we're raising a generation of antisocial children because this is why the playgrounds are empty. This is why. Because they're in a fantasy world, a video game fantasy world, or a world that they're creating in social media with their friends from the video game and their friends from school, and they're all into these chats and these think tanks, and they're sitting in there, and anything outside of that bothers them. Anything outside of that, they're rushing to answer you to get back in the video game or back in the meta world, wherever it is, whether it's a video game or social media. They're looking at you, or you go, what? You call them, what? Yeah, 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 yeah. And they right back. Anything outside of that is an NPC. You're an NPC. So when you see the videos of the young kid, he unalived the other little kid when in Queens, he unalived him, shot the boy in his neck. All the kids standing there as he's bullying them, as they picking on him. All these children standing around. Not one of them was like, "Come on, y'all, this ain't right." Not one of them tried to intervene. It must have been 50, 60 kids there. When you seeing these takeovers, when they're act like they wasn't white plains in Westchester a month ago where they took over the whole mall. They did it twice now. Now they're not even allowing certain groups of kids to come inside stores if it's more than 5 of them because they did a takeover. Now they calling it takeovers, right? Where you got 70 to 200, 300 kids just take over the mall or take over a store or take over a strip or take over a street. They have a hive mentality. There's no individual thinking. There's no critical thinking. They're not thinking for themselves because us as parents, we didn't pull them aside and teach them. We didn't stay on top of them. We didn't snatch the phone. We didn't put a limit on the video games. We didn't put a limit on the cell phone. We didn't put a limit on these things. At time, maybe 10, 15 years ago we did, but as the generation's gone, these children now are born with telephones in their hand. The 15, 16-year-olds were born that way. I got a child that's 30. I got a child that's 15. My child that's 30, she wasn't born with a cell phone. In 2007, when the cell phones came out, she was 10 years old. She didn't have a cell phone. She maybe didn't get a cell phone till she was about 15. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the gift. I appreciate you. She wasn't born with a phone in her hand. She might have been 15. But my child that's 10 years younger than her, in '07 she was born. So in 2014, guess what? She had a cell phone. She had a cell phone. These children born after 2007 are born with them in their hand. Meaning, after they start to Google and Gagaing, the minute they start to hold their own bottle, they start reaching for your phone. They start reaching for your phone. Any child born after 2007, they start reaching for your phone. And what you do? You get them a tablet or iPod, or you give them a phone and let them play with it. And you start with your phone. And now you can't get your phone back. The minute you ask for your phone, they start whining and crying. So what you do? You go get them a tablet. Once they get old enough to comprehend, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, they want a phone. Their friend got one. They want a phone. So they raised with phones. That 15-year-old had a phone in their hand for 15 years. For 15 years, this been their parent. For 15 years, this been their educator. For 15 years, this been their world. This been their reality. For 15 years and better. So when they see an old lady with the bags, they're going to look at the person with the bags. You think they're going to get up and help the old lady upstairs with her bags? Nah, they going back to their phone. I seen them I was working in Manhattan in 2015. I took the train every day. I see these kids, 15, 20 kids, older people, pregnant people, women get on the train, hold one baby in her hand, one baby on her chest, one baby right here, while the train rocking back and forth. It'd be 15 little kids. They got their feet in the seat before they get up to get that lady a seat. They don't even see a human being. They don't care about her with the kid, the groceries, the old lady. They don't care about nothing. They got their seat and they sitting there having a conversation about whatever dumb shit these young kids talk about these days. They don't see another human being. And it ain't their fault. It's our fault. I'm being me, myself included. I was in and out of prison. I wasn't physically there. If I was physically there, it might have been a different situation, right? But I was in and out of prison, so that's my excuse. That's my fault. I know what I did wrong. I wasn't there. And had I been there and been working a 9 to 5, going back and forth to work and everything, when I get in and they get in from school and they go off to their room, I probably would allow them to go off to their room so I could do what I needed to do. Will we do things on the weekend? Sure. Would I, on a drive-by to the kitchen, as we, fighting over the last push pop or the last sip of Kool-Aid, we have our discussions, but did I really put a time limit on this? Was I consciously aware that that my child is being dehumanized because they're having a lack of human interaction? Am I noticing that? Am I taking notice to that? Am I nurturing humility? Am I nurturing morals, values, and principles that we was raised upon? Am I creating a barter system? Every time they ask for something, am I saying that there's something that they have to do in order to get what they're asking for? Or do I just give? And I'm saying this because I got a whole bunch of brothers and sisters that's in their early 30s, and I watch them, and they just give, 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 give. There's no asking, there's no bartering, there's nothing. Dad, can I have money for this? Mom, can I get this? Mom, can I get that? Can I have? Can I get? Can I have? Can I? Over and over and over and over. And the minute they say no, there's a stomping of the feet. There's a back and forth exchange 6, 7 times about the no, and they gotta over explain about the no and this and that. The no is just not the no no more. Why? Because we condition them to give them what they want. We condition them to be lazy. We're conditioning them to be entitled. We're conditioning them to be entitled. This is why we have a whole generation of entitled kids and young adults. I work with them. I work with them, y'all. I work with them. The 24, 25, 26, they have no work ethic whatsoever. 99% of them, I ain't saying all of them, but most of them have no work ethic whatsoever. They come to work thinking that they just get paid to be there. They ain't taking the incentive. They don't look at when the waitress brings the food out, these young ones, they don't look at it as if it's not prepared, that's a reflection on me. If the job is not done, they don't look at the job as a reflection on themselves. The job is just for somebody to handle the money because they don't want to be there anyway. They don't want to be there anyway. They don't really need the job because they could go home to mommy and daddy. We still spoiling them. The job is just they could get all the video games and get their hair done and their nails did all they want. That's all the job really is. So they don't care about the job, but they don't see that they don't look at the job as a reflection of themselves, or the dirty room as a reflection of themselves, or the dirty car, or the dirty fingernails as a reflection of themselves. Not the materialistic aspect of it. No, I'm saying what you do represents who you are. Your space, your working environment, the way you live, your car, how you keep yourself up, that's a reflection of who you are. And we were taught these things. We were taught these things. We were shown these things. Our parents shown us, our grandparents showed them. And what we did was we became the generation of I don't want my child to go through what I went through. I don't want my child. Some of the shit we went through, even the bad shit we had to go through to build character. We had to go through some of those things to build character. Hard work gives you a sense of pride, yes. And correct work gives you a sense of pride too. You know what I'm saying? When your boss or somebody coming in, they be like, wow, who was just on this? Or you go in there sometime, and don't get me wrong, some people, man, you be having to clean some of them computers out. The computer where I work at, it be just so grimy. I just have to clean it and dust a little bit because I work there. I wipe off. They be like, oh man, you always in here cleaning because I work here. I have to. I'm touching the same computer you touching. Then I go, I put my hands in my mouth. I got a bad habit when I think I start to bite my nails. So I got to make sure my nails is clean. I got to make sure everything that I'm touching is clean. Even if I make a mistake, it got to be clean in here. I mean, that was one of the good things about being raised by one of them old Southern black women. You know what I'm saying? At least I was clean. I might not know how to chop down a tree or hunt no deers and no game or nothing like that. I ain't know how to do none of that, but you know what I'm saying? I learned eventually, but one of the things about being raised by a Southern black woman is you at least was clean. And a lot of us was clean. And it's not a superficial thing about clean and looks and all of that. It's about morals. God, cleanliness is next to godliness, is discipline. Being clean is discipline, right? Accepting a no is discipline. Knowing that you have to work for what you want is a discipline, right? Knowing that there's a bartering system creates discipline. Before we used to go outside, I asked my grandmother, "Can I go outside?" You know what I used to do? I used to clean the bathroom, clean my room, did my homework, and did the dishes. Why? Because when I say, "Grandma, can I go outside?" What's she gonna say? Is the dishes done? Yeah, the dishes done. Is the bathroom clean? Yeah, the bathroom clean. Your room clean? Yeah, your room clean. You did your homework? Yeah, I did. I did my homework. Yeah. All right, boy, go outside and play. Don't be out there. Get in here before the lights come on. So now I had to work. I worked for what I wanted. I knew I wanted to go outside. I knew if I asked to go outside, she was gonna ask me if all that shit was done. So I did it before she asked me. That's work. That's a bartering system. That's a bartering system. right? If you just say yeah to everything, then the kid don't have to work for shit. Can I go outside? Yeah. Can I spend the night at Tommy's? Yeah. Can I? And if when you do say no, it's something specific to you. It's something specific to you. Whether you was going out or Tommy mom, y'all ain't talked in a couple days, or you know what I'm saying, this is his third night out. Whatever little silly rule you say no for, I'm not saying y'all always say no. But when you do say no, it's because of something pertaining to you. It's not to create a bartering system. It's not to put them to work in some kind of way. Take out the trash. Do the dishes. Is your homework done? And then the minute they don't do something, remember that. And then take that away when they ask for something else. Well, everything, well, nah, you know what? Because I told you the other day to go to bed and you didn't want to go to bed. Or I told you the other day when you asked to go to school, when I had to wake you up for school and you went back and forth with me. So no, you can't, now you can't go to Tommy's house. You know what that does? Now, the next time you say no, they're going to accept the no, because they know that because the back and forth is going to lead to them being denied something else. That's simple. That's simple. I created this bartering system with the juice in the house, right? The kids drink up all the juice. They drink juice. First of all, it's unhealthy to drink that much Minute Maid in a 2 liter soda. It makes no sense. Why y'all drink a whole 2 liter soda? So you know what I did? I said, you know what we're gonna start doing is how I was raised. When the soda and the juice runs out, it runs out to the next time. If you go shopping every other week, then it runs out to the next week you go shopping. If you go shopping once a week, once a month, then once a month. Whatever time you go shopping is when you re-up on the juice and the snacks and the zoom zooms and wham whams. When it runs out, it runs out. You know what happens now? The children start rationing it out. Now they learn how, this is what they'll learn with finances and money in the future too. This is a good way to train them to understand, if you spend all your money or you eat all the potato chips, it ain't gonna be no more potato chips until you go back to work, until a certain time. So now they know how to ration. Well, Dad, I know she goes shopping every Saturday, so it's already Wednesday. Let me chill out because I know Friday we're gonna get Kentucky Fried Chicken. So let me just save some of the juice. So what it does is it shows them how to budget, right? If you just keep every time they need juice, every time you leave out the door, these kids, uh, Dad, you could bring some hot fries back and some soda. No, no, no. That is a luxury. What happened to that? What happened to snacks being a luxury, y'all? Now snacks is, we act like it's one of the 4 food groups. Like it's mandatory they got snacks. It ain't mandatory they got snacks. It ain't mandatory they got juice. Let that shit run out. Let it run out because it conditions them and it shows them, you talk in terms of money. Oh, you spent all your money. Well, you ain't got no money. You gotta go back to work. What's work? School, cleaning, and doing what the fuck I say. And the minute you don't do one of those things, I'm gonna take something from you or deny you something. And it becomes a programming. It becomes a programming. Now the child that you, me myself, I'm gonna give an example because I was running around in the streets, so I'm not gonna act like everything my grandmother did was perfect. It was perfect. I just was a knucklehead. You know what I mean? I went to the streets. Half of my brothers went to the streets. Half of them went to the army. You know what I mean? It was a give and take. But I say that to say this. You know what it creates? It creates a child that understands that there's a give and take in life. In order for me to get something, I have to give something. I have to follow these rules. I have to be disciplined in order for me to get a reward. I just don't, and then the reward is known as a reward because it comes as a reward. When you're just giving, it's no reward to the $20 for the video game. There's no reward to the sneakers. There's no reward to the book bag. There's no reward. You're just giving it all the time. So the kid just expects it all the time. And you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna groom a lazy, inappreciative human being. That's what you're creating. Somebody you can't tell no to. I don't give a damn how logical you think it is or how nice you think it is. You're treating your children and how much you spoil them. You watch. to the adult you're gonna raise in your house. Watch them. They're gonna be lazy, entitled. These are the ones that I see that I work with. These are the ones that I see in the streets. These are the ones we see in the streets. And these kids are so much smarter than us and have so much more potential than us. And I'm going to get conspiracy for a second. And this is why they're bombarded with electronics. This is why their minds are bombarded with electronics and bombarded with this terrible music. This is why they're bombarded with it. Because these are the healers. These children are the healers. These children are the walk through walls. These are the Bruce Leroy's in The Last Dragon. That's this generation. They're so smart, so technological, right? But because they're bombarded with all the wrong shit and you're allowing it, their talent is going to waste. Their talent is going to waste. They're not healing themselves, they're not healing each other. Everything that we learn metaphysically or spiritually is in their cartoons. It's in them. They could see it, right? They could visualize it. Some of the things that we didn't think fathomable, they know is possible. But because they're so entertained, to entertain means to enter into whole. So because these ideas, hold on, y'all. Y'all hear me now? Let me know if y'all hear me. Okay. Yeah. So now they're overstimulated and over entertained. That's why they have short attention spans. They're over entertained and overstimulated, y'all. And this is why they don't see human beings as other human beings. They don't see each other as brother and sister. And this could go literally in the same household. You can have two children in the same house, but they're in one room and that kid is in his own universe and the other child is in his other universe, and you and your mate or you are in your own universe because you worrying about work and these gas prices and everything that's going to go on in this world. So you busy being mom or being dad, and each child is in his own room, which is his own complete universe. And when they step out of their universe, their room or their metaverse, everybody else is just an NPC. You're only the means to get more points for the game or the new outfit or the things that they need to make their universe more comfortable. The love ain't even there. Do they love you? Yeah, they love you. But you know what I mean. When the last time you sat down and gave your children a history lesson? When the last time you sat down? When the last time? And this goes. I'm that age now where I'm going to my elders and I'm having real conversations. I want to know how my grandfather met my grandmother, or who was my great grandmother, and how did they meet? And you sit down and you get this information, right? Because this and I'm speaking for generation. I'm speaking for my generation now. I ain't even gonna talk about the babies. I'm talking about Generation X, Gen X, my generation. People my age, they don't want to know what their elders know. They don't even want to know their roots. How they gonna pass them down to their children, and they don't even know their roots. And we ain't even got to get into like nationality and all of that, slavery and all of that. Just who is your great grandfather, and where did he meet your great grandmother or your grandmother, and where did she meet your grandfather, and then your parents. Where did they come from, and where's your family tree from your mother's side and your father? If you fortunate enough to know your mother and your father, you know what I'm saying? If you're fortunate enough to know, because us Gen X's, that's the crack baby era. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my brothers and sisters don't know who their fathers is. You know what I'm saying? They don't know both sides of their family. So if you're fortunate enough to know both sides of your family, when the last time did you sit down and get this information and pass this information off to the generations beneath you? Right? So when so It's to humanize yourself, to humanize your children. So they see another human being and they don't see an NPC when they outside of that metaverse. They don't care if they're not affected. That's right. And that's the way it is world right now. Nobody cares if they're not directly affected because we all are affected because there's a global consciousness. There's a global pain. There's global joy. You know what I'm saying? There's a collective consciousness. And that's what's going on in this world. These children don't care if they're not directly affected. They can see something happening to somebody and they'll walk right by. They don't have no empathy. The empathy is gone because their empathy is for the characters in their particular game or their particular metaverse. Everybody outside of their particular metaverse, for the most part, is an NPC. They're dehumanizing these children in this next generation. So when it comes time to take the chip, in order for them to use this phone or in order for them to use their video game, when it comes with a microchip, they're going to be the first lined up to take the chip. They're not going to see nothing wrong with it. They're not going to see nothing wrong with it. They're already in constant communication with AI, what we consider artificial intelligence, but it may be alien intelligence. It may be demon intelligence. Some of these disembodied spirits are coming through these devices in these video games where these children are unaliving each other at an alarming rate all day, every day. The best games are the ones with the unaliving, the Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto. Two games that is built on unaliving. So all day, little Jimmy sits in his room unaliving people. And these games are getting more and more realistic. The blood spatter, the blowback from the firearm, and the blood and all of this, they're so gory and so graphic. And then we wonder why these children are able to do the things that they're doing with this violence. Why they got a pistol with a button on the back of it that make it shoot 30 bullets in 2 seconds. This overkill. While all of these young boys in New York City carrying these firearms and are unaliving each other at an alarming rate. I think we done lost 12 this year, and we're not even halfway through the year. We already lost 12 children under between the ages of 17 and 7 months old. 7 months old. And the people who are committing these acts are younger than 25. Every single one of them are younger than 20. I could almost say younger than 23, actually. I think the oldest, they're 22, 21s, and the last couple are unaliving. I seen a video the other day where 14s went to go, pew pew at two other teenagers, and as they're pew pewing, the kid's running like this, and he unalives his own buddy, the guy he came with, because he's running. But they all were. They all were. They're jumping, they're hopping, and they're just shooting these firearms off with no regard for another human being, as if they're in a video game. And this is how these children are getting unalive. In the Bronx just last week, an 80-year-old man in his wheelchair got unalive in Mitchell houses. And then a 60-something-year-old got unalived in RPT, River Park Towers in the Bronx. That was all this year. And you know who was the people who committed these crimes? The one in River Park Towers, I think the kid was 24. And the one in Mitchell's, it was some kids. They got them on camera shooting. They're jumping, looking this way, running this way, shooting the opposite direction. Over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then they'll go right upstairs, watch the news, hear somebody got unalive, make a song about it, right? Just hopefully it was somebody who was 16, 17, that's of their age from the side of the rivals. They'll make a song talking about how they unalive this innocent bystander. If his name is Jamie, they'll be like, yeah, we smoking on Jamie. That's what they doing. That's what drill music consists of. They'll be like, oh, we smoking that Jamie pack. We just spun the block. We spun back. Now we smoking that Jamie pack. And da, and they doing these dances and until the feds come get them. Until the feds come get them. But there's no hope. And I got all daughters. I look at my daughters and I'm like, my teenage daughters. What is what? And I didn't. They're still in the hood, so to speak. They're still in the hood. They're still in the hood. I ain't get them out the hood. I didn't have enough money to get them away from there and get them all off in private schools to where they can make the right choices in men. Do I instill certain morals and values into them? Do I tell them certain things? Yeah, I do. But I just did 7 years. I've been home 3 years now. I've been home 3 years now, and yeah, I pull them up and I tell them certain things, but I was gone. So I don't know nothing. My 19-year-old, I can't tell her nothing. I'm telling you. And I don't care how many times she say, "Dad, you was right," or "Dad, how did you know?" I don't care how many times she say I'm right. I'm still wrong. I'm only right till a problem occurs, and then she telling me, whatever happened. But when I'm trying to warn her or tell her or give her guidance before this thing happened, before she get to the fork in the road, I tell her go left, and she gonna swear that she gotta go right. She gonna swear it. You know what I'm saying? And that's my fault for not being there. Right. Yeah, we have to be there. And it's my fault for not being there. I haven't been there. You know what I mean? So I give her grace and stuff like that. But I'm always gonna tell them. I'm always gonna tell them. I'm always gonna give them jewels, even if it's seeping their subconscious. But the point that I'm making is who is gonna be their helpmate? Who is gonna be their partner? Who's gonna be the man that I want them to be submissive to and allow them to lead and be by his side and lead him? Who is this young man? Who is he? I might have to go adopt some young boys and raise them up my damn self. You know what I'm saying? I might have to go get me a couple little 11-year-old, 12-year-old steps, adopt some children and raise them up. And then when they in their 20s and 30s, I hope they don't, they find a mate by then before then, a good mate, not just a mate. But if not, maybe I'll veer up some young men that'll be right there for them. Come on, it's sad. But other than that, I be looking around. I couldn't even imagine where would who is this young man? Who are they gonna be? Yeah, I'm here now. She listens. She listens, but she don't hear me. Well, she hear me, but she don't listen. You know what I'm saying? But man, and like I have when I was with my 19-year-old just yesterday, and I mentioned about YouTube. She's like, "What you talking about on YouTube?" And I told her, and she know how I be talking. She's like, "Oh boy, Dad, with your conspiracy stuff." And man, y'all don't know how much I want to tell this young lady, man, how powerful she. And I do tell her how powerful she is. But man, do I wish I had the opportunity that I didn't go to prison and I had her from 10 years old. And the things I used to tell her at 10 years old, instead of me being in prison from her being 10 to 17, me being home from the time she was 10 to 17. Man, it'd be endless to where she would be. Even though I wouldn't have been in the home with her because she would have been where she was at and I would have been where I was at. But even to have that time, man. So I come at it from that standpoint, y'all. Like I know the role that I played. You know what I mean? I know the role that I played. Yeah, she does. I know the role that I played. So when I see society and I see these children, I look at it like that because I know where the father was at. He's probably dead or locked up. He's probably dead or locked up, or him and the mother wasn't together. So he's in and out, in and out, in and out between two different homes. So he can only do but so much and give but so much. And then who is he? What does he have on his mind? What's in his spirit? What does he know? Right? Because you can have a parent. Parents could be there, physically in the house. They can have a mother and a father. One of the young boys who did one of the shootings, he had a mother and a father in the house. But the mother and father, when they say too hard working, that's exactly where it went wrong. They working too hard, and it's as we put them 8 hours a day into them jobs. Sometimes you got to put them 8 hours into them children. You got to put them 8 hours into them children as well, and the rearing up of them children. And even though you're tired and they just came in from school and they just want to sit on the video game or sit on social media, sometimes we got to turn that thing off and have a sit down. Sometimes we need to turn that thing off and have a sit down. A mother and a father, yes, mothers and fathers are viable for both. Daughters and sons need mothers and fathers. They both need both. They both need both. You know what I'm saying? And some of these women, they have daughters and they're there, but are they mothers? Are they mothers? Are they nurturing? Are they teaching their daughters certain things? What are they teaching these little girls? What are they teaching them? Right? If you playing sexy red, then she gonna have the sexy red mentality. If that's what you playing, sexy red and Ice Spice. Even if you playing the other ones, the Scissors and all of these new R&B, they not singing about love. So all day in your home, while you frying wingettes and making Velveeta shells and cheese, right? While you in the kitchen frying those wingettes and making Velveeta shells and cheese, you got Scissor blasting through the speakers or Summer Walker blasting through the speakers, and all she's singing about is heartache and sharing her man and toxic love and fighting and fornicating and fussing. Fighting, fornicating, and fussing. That's all this new toxic R&B is all about. Fighting, fornicating, and fussing. That's all it's about. So while you got that playing, right, and that comes the background to her life, and you're her mom, and you frustrated because you ain't got no man, you don't got no man. You dealing with a couple guys, whether they street dudes or they squares from Delaware, it don't matter. You know what I mean? These dudes ain't committing. You ain't married, so you got men in and out your life, and then you got as your life is living in that way, you got Summer Walker and this toxic music being a theme music to your life, and this child sees that. So what do we think she gonna be? What do you think she gonna be? Parents need to heal the trauma they teach their children as they should act. That's right. Not the dumbest, not the trauma and the Velveeta's mac and cheese. True, I'm being honest, because that's all some of these young women know how to cook. They get the little wingettes. They ain't gotta clean the chicken. They ain't gotta break it up, break the pieces. It's already did up. All they do is thaw it out, wash it off, drop it in the fryer, and make some Velveeta shells and cheese. I'm just telling you what they listen to Summer Walker. They got Summer Walker on. You know what I mean? On the video joint, they got the video playing in the background. And girl, go upstairs till I'm finished cooking. Go back upstairs because she having a conversation, some gossiping about something. So she send a little girl back upstairs. She go back off to her room and she back off in her little meta universe. And this what goes on until she's 21. Now she can't get out the house. God forbid she pregnant. She can't keep a job. None of these young people can't keep a job because they don't got the attention span. They don't have no work ethic because they didn't have to work for nothing. Even in the home, everything was just a given. Everything was just a given. So now they got they short tempered, short attention span, no work ethic, no respect, running back to a forced reality. So now they trade in the video games and social media for loving hip hop and watching these stars, these famous people. So now she's 21. Now she thinks she's supposed to be living like Remy Ma, one of them loving hip hop people. I don't know their names. You know who they is. They now they think that's their lifestyle. So now they supposed to have Louis and Gucci. They supposed to take trips. They supposed to have the $500 hairstyle. They supposed to have all these things and they body did and all of this other foolishness. and they think that they want it, but they have no idea or clue how to get it. The bag, that's the bag. Everybody, oh, I'm out here getting this bag, I'm chasing this bag. They don't have a clue about what a bag is or how to acquire a bag. All they know is they want one. That's all they know. That's all they know. And the minute they get two coins to rub together, they're gonna get a car that they can't afford. And for the metaverse, every time they go take a trip, they taking all these oh my God, these trips. Everybody's taking these trips. These trips, I'm from a generation, I'll be 47. I'm Generation X, y'all. There was a time in the 90s when people took trips, you just knew they had some money, right? Y'all remember that? When somebody was in Jamaica or, Las Vegas, they ain't even got to leave the continent of the United States. They ain't even got to leave the hemisphere, right? The United States, they go to Vegas or California, if you're from New York. We be like, wow, man, they doing it big, man. They went to Cali, they went over here, God forbid they go to Dominican Republic or Jamaica, right? We was like, wow, that was something big. Nowadays, a couple $100 you could be in another country. So now, because it's more affordable, right? Now she 23, 24, 25. I got this young lady that I work with, y'all. I swear to goodness, she 25 years old. She took a trip. She left for about 2 weeks. Took her leave, everything. Before the trip, asked to borrow some money from me. Oh, you think I could borrow? Woo. Went to the trip, came back from the trip, and asked to borrow some more money, not realizing that she still owed me the little $50, $60 I had loaned her, right? And it's like, if you needed to borrow $40, $50 before the trip and came back and needed to borrow the money, then it's obvious you couldn't afford that trip. It's obvious. And I go on a little Instagram, and the whole time they was over there having fun and doing all these things, right? That I know I can't afford. Could I do it? Yeah, I could do it. But I know I can't afford it. It's a difference. There's a difference. Just because you could do it don't mean you could afford it. Just because you drive a Maserati, you could go put the down payment on the Maserati or the newest Mercedes Benz. You may could do it, and you might could pay the bill. You know what I'm saying? Scrape up your penny every month to pay the bill, but you actually can't afford it because the minute something goes wrong, the window don't roll up. You don't got the $2,000 to fix that. The minute the tire go flat, you don't got the $500 per tire. You don't got that kind of money, right? We ain't even talk about the transmission or the engine or nothing too crazy go wrong. Just the littlest problem, you can't afford it. So it's the same thing with these trips. These young people, because of their metaverse and they living in assimilation. I'm not talking about the real assimilation. I'm talking about their own personal metaverse, and they're entitled. They think that what everybody else do, they can do with their little minimum wage job or just above minimum. God forbid they make more than that. Because the more they make, the more they spend. I got some family members that make decent money, 25, almost $30 an hour, and still always broke. Ask me to borrow money. You know why? Y'all know why? Because the more they make, the more they fake. I say the more they make, the more they fake. I always say it's free to be me. You got to spend to pretend. It costs a lot of money to be something you ain't. It costs a lot of money for people to actually go look at your page and say, wow, look at so and so on another trip. You have to see these people. I got these young females in my family. They always somewhere. One of them don't even have a vehicle and just went on her third trip. It's 2026. She might have been to 4 different continents in 2026. Still don't own her own vehicle. Got everything in her parents' name, and they holding her up like a crutch. Went on her fourth trip, and then when I say something, right? Because I say, well, they couldn't afford it. They say, well, don't. They're enjoying their life. Let them enjoy their life. How are you enjoying when you busting your ass, right? To make a little more than minimum wage, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And I seen that too. Oh, I had to put in extra hours. Can you watch so and so? Because my trip coming up. They put in all the extra hours, all the overtime to go on a trip. spend a little 2,500, 23, $3,000, whatever the case may be, come back broke to do it all over again just to post it on here. These are the entitled 90s babies. That's them. These are the entitled 90s babies. While I'm sitting here at my snail's pace, I ain't going to no trip. I ain't doing none of that. You know why? Because when I do it, I'm gonna be able to afford it. And what I mean by afford it, I mean to when I go on a trip and I come back, if my car break down, I can still fix my car. I can replace my car. Not to the point where if anything in my infrastructure collapses, I can't afford to handle that problem immediately. Immediately. Whether it's with a credit card, actual cold hard cash, or whatever the situation may be. If anything in your structure collapses, whether your car breaks down or they raise your rent, your washing machine break, whatever it is, you can't go get another one or you can't fix it instantly, then guess what? You can't afford to take that trip. You can't afford what you're doing because them little cute little triangle plates with the chocolate spritzed across the strawberry that you was posting last week with the drink with the pineapples and the umbrella on the end of it. I know that's a $20-$30 drink. How are you after you came back from your trip asking me to borrow $100 and I seen you with the little square plate with the spritzer and the drinks? I knew you that was a $70 meal, $60 meal, whatever country you was at. You just was over there. How you ain't got what you need? These is the entitled little children from the 90s, y'all. That's them. That's them. That's not living life. That's not living life. If you can't do what you want, you ain't living life. Structure, discipline. Structure and discipline will get you a long way, y'all. Long way. And outside of structure and discipline, not giving a fuck what people think about you. Not having to perform or put on a show, or not having to feed your ego by what you perceive in yourself to be for the rest of the world, for social media. I see them do it all the time. I see them take their children every week and they doing something. Everything's a photo op. Everything's a photo op, and they battling family members. She went here, oh they go here. They went here. They went here. They went here. Don't none of them own their home. Don't none of them own their home. Ain't none of their credit scores above 650. None of them got $10,000 saved. I ain't even gonna go crazy. They ain't even got 10,000. They ain't even got 5,000 saved. Most of them. I'm telling you, y'all. If y'all on social media, y'all know them people. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all got people, family members, and people that y'all know that are just like that. They always somewhere. But if you come to them and say, "Look, I got $5,000. Give me $5,000. We're gonna get this box truck, and with this box truck, we can make $2,000 a week off this box truck." Half of them ain't got it in capital, in cold hard cash. Never mind credit. They definitely ain't got it in credit. Half of them don't got it in capital because these are our children. That is the generation of I don't want my child to go through what I went through. So you just gave them, 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 gave them. They don't value nothing. The YouTube influencers are fake. The rap game and love and hip hop are fake. It's all fake. But this is the in the African American community, love and hip hop in general, that is the standard though. It's sad to say that is the standard. Other people, other cultures have cultures, right? And their culture is based on, spirituality, marriage, things like that. The African American culture is hip hop. That's our culture. Hip hop and church, but hip hop and Christianity it's kind of meshing now. Christianity is dying out. It's sad to say. Christianity is dying out and it's being infiltrated by hip hop. But the predominant standard in the African American community culture is hip hop. Love and hip hop. That's the standard, y'all. That is the standard. I work in an industry, them box truck money makers and tow trucks and box truck. Yep, yep. But who's gonna be the generation to do that? That's a hard working generation. Box trucks and tow trucks, man. We ain't got no blue collar workers. These kids too soft. These kids too soft. The blue collar workers going out of style, y'all. And this is why Elon Musk and them is gonna create these robots. You just seen the they got the, put it in Google or put it in YouTube where they got the robots in McDonald's and with European countries. They're trying to get the robots to work in McDonald's. Pretty soon, that's what Walmart is going to be computerized. A lot of these, a lot of these jobs are going to be computerized, and the reason being is nobody want to do the job. This is why a lot of people, was upset about the ICE thing that's going on because I'm not being funny, I'm not being racist, but the Mexicans want to work. They want to work. They're teaching their children how to work. They not soft. They not equipped for what's to come. Um, More mental society. They are not tough to use their hands, or they're not taught to use their minds. They're not. They're not taught to use their minds or their hands. When I came home 3 years ago, I was landscaping. I had a cooking job. I was all over the place. I was working like two jobs, two, three jobs at a time, right? Lonely Vans. I'm about to say that to you with the Bitcoin, with the investment. Wow, that's good you said that. But when I came home like 3 years ago, I was all over, man. I was taking any job I can. I was working two jobs at a time sometimes. And at every job, I was cooking for a minute, and then I was landscaping and cooking at the same time. Then the landscaping got too hard. It was too much work, and then I had a warehouse job for a second before I went to the gas station job, right? But anyway, as I was bouncing around from these jobs, I noticed something. Whether I was landscaping or I was cooking, the landscapers was, I know these dudes wasn't even 18 yet. All teenage, Venezuelan. It wasn't all Mexicans, Venezuelans or whatever. And man, these kids knew the whole job with the landscaping. They knew the whole job with the landscaping. I was helping out a roofer. They knew all the job with the roofing, carpentry. They knew everything there was to know. And when I was in the kitchen in the back, I was the only brother back there with all Mexicans or Venezuelans, whatever they was. And they knew all parts of the kitchen. They could do the dishes. They could go out and prep. You showed them one time, and they was. And the other thing that I learned, there was a blue van. The same blue van that I seen at the landscaping was the same blue van that I seen in the kitchen. The same blue van I seen when we was roofing. That same blue van was picking up them same group of people, and more than twice, I seen one individual doing what I was doing, from cooking, and he was landscaping, or he was landscaping and he was roofing. And you see the same ones. They probably was, I'm not being funny or racist, but they probably was sharing a hotel room somewhere. One person was picking them all up and dropping them all off. But the point that I'm making, the majority of them were young, probably 15, 16, 17, 18, busting their hump, and they knew the job and they did the job with pride. We don't have that. This ain't an African American thing. This is an American thing for the most part. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying everybody. There's some people who are training their children with their hands and learning how to do certain things. I'm not saying everybody, but for the majority, this country ain't. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna need robots because these kids don't want to work. These kids don't want to work, and There was something that I said when I went to get the warehouse job. There was Bob's warehouse, and it was like 200 people outside. And when I went, they called me first, and I came. It was already 200 people, and I went right to the front of the line, and they shot me right in. So I was talking to the recruiter. I was like, "Yo, how did I get to the line? All these people here. How did I skip all these people?" He said, "Yeah, all those people that's out there, them 200 some people, they all need interpreters. They all need interpreters." It wasn't just I was out in Connecticut at the time, so there was a lot of Haitians, Africans, and South Americans, Venezuelans, and Mexicans and stuff like that. They say, yeah, all those people, they need interpreters. You speak English, so go ahead, you go in. And then I went in there, and the guy who was interviewing me, he was kind of racist. He was a white guy. He was kind of racist, and he was like, "Yeah, man, uh, basically saying he want to get his job to Americans or whatever the case may be." But I told him, I said something to him. We sat there and we talked for a while. That's how I ended up getting in there. I said, you know what? It's not even their fault. I said it's not even their fault. We can't blame them for coming over here and wanting to work to send money home to their families. The money is different from over here, and they have the ambition, they have the will, they have to get it. You know, it's a little rougher over there. Some parts are over there. It's a little rougher. So they still have that mentality of taking care of their family and going to bust their behind to get what they want. Their children. They children ain't sitting in the room with an air conditioner playing video games all day, and every time they want Michael Jordan or they want whatever, we just tossing it to them. Their circumstances is different. Them children is coming with work ethic because they don't have nobody just handing them shit. You understand what I'm saying? But what I was telling the recruiter was, it's not their fault, and it's not even my children's fault. It's our fault. Because I supposed to be creating jobs. I should have a business for my children. My daughter just got her master's in business management. It was up to me to have the business. So when she finished her master's in business management, I say, well, all right, here you go, baby. Here's a business. And then my two other ones, my 14-year-old and my 19-year-old, raising them up in that particular business, or raising them up like somebody said about ETFs, or showing them stocks, attaching them to my credit. You know what I'm saying? And making them authorized users. So when they get a certain age, they already got good credit and don't even know it. My 19-year-old, I wouldn't have to go buy her a car. She would already have good credit had I had credit and attached her to my credit for the last 5 years. And then now that she has credit, I teach her about credit and I teach her about finance. So she don't just go run out and mess it up. You know what I mean? So when I got her the job, because I ended up getting her a job, my 19-year-old, she don't work there no more. She got fired. But anyway, um, had I created a job and had I overstood finance and didn't have to learn it in prison on my last run in prison, then I would have been able to put things in play so my children wouldn't be fighting for jobs with an illegal or a robot. Because if they using this, they could be building robots, they could be replacing the robots, they could be fixing the robots, or we generating money from a business that has nothing to do with a robot. You know what I mean? We may need AI, you know what I'm saying? But they be the ones making these programs. Help her structure and invest her energy and think outside of the debt lifestyle. That's right. That's right. That's right. Not just that either, just teaching her her nationality and commercial laws too. That's a whole nother, thing that but man, if I could sit there with my daughter just graduated for finances, right? For finance, business management and finance. She got her master's, excuse me. She graduated like 5, 6 years ago. But now I would love to sit with her and speak to her about, operating out of a trust or commercial law and all these things. But I haven't been there. So if I speak to her, she knows I'm a conspiracy theorist. She's gonna start thinking conspiracy. And I spoke to her about stocks, and she was like, "Oh, Dad, you're a gambler, so you like stocks and all of that." That's from me not being there. That's from me not being there. You know what I'm saying? So don't get me wrong. I can sit up here and I'm preaching to the choir. I do try, I do install certain things into them, but this generation, you can't tell them much. They're gonna take what they want to take and do what they want to do anyway. Now, had I been there, it might have been different. The fact that I haven't been there, me telling my 29-year-old, about finance, and she just graduated for finance. Yeah, we can go back and forth for whatever the case may be, but I'm telling you, she thinks she know more than me. I'm telling you, she ain't never count 100,000 a day in her life, but she gonna tell me more about money than myself. She ain't never ran no business or nothing, but she got her degree. So when we talk, she speaks from the book aspect, and I be speaking from the born entrepreneur aspect. And even though she know I know what I'm talking about because I use the technical terms that she was taught in school, she still ain't gonna listen to my advice, y'all. She still ain't. You know what I mean? We got some business things that we're gonna do together though. So I'm working on her. I'm working on my baby, y'all. Trust me, I'm working on her. I teach her this, not just the street aspect, not just the street aspect. Um, One thing that I learned in the streets, and then reading a lot of psychology books and reading a lot of marketing books, psychology is money. If you understand the mind and the way people think, this is where people spend money and make money up here. It's not a physical thing. So the street aspect is cool because it gave me the savvy. It gave me the business. Like when you read business books, those are things that you learn in the streets. They say, when you're doing business with somebody, you always tell them in the first couple of seconds of conversation what's in it for them. That's some street shit. A business book will tell you that, but that's some street shit. You know what I'm saying? Marketing. That's some street stuff. Anytime you had to promote something in the streets, we were the best marketers to passing out samples. Lord forgive me, but passing out samples, having good product, always being around, always being on time, never allowing the customer the opportunity to spend money with the competition. Because the minute they spend money with the competition, you might lose them forever. So you got to keep them here. You never run out, and you be kind, you be respectful, and you be personable too. So those are the things that the books can't really teach you that you learn in the streets. But it's psychology. That's all it is. It's psychology. It's understanding the mind. When I was working at the gas station, the lady used to come in who does it's place marketing. Like she'll come in and she'll redo the whole Nestle shelf, or she'll redo the whole Reese's shelf for the Halloween and stuff like that. And then she comes and looks at the counter, she rearranges things. Man, I sat there and talked with that lady for an hour. She was like, "Man, we need you at the job." She was like, "How do you learn all this stuff?" It's like it's basic psychology. It's psychology. Everything under the counter, people buy. Anything aligned on the counter when you wait and people buy. Everything is leveled in the store according to the height of the most popular buyer. Things in the men aisles. If you're going through the aisle where there's men stuff, it's gonna be between the height of 5'7" and 6'2" because that's the average height. So it's gonna be eye level to the man who's that height. And then the women aisle, the most expensive, let's say laundry soap, the Gain and the Tide and all of that, that's going to be between 4 feet and 5'2", where y'all can see. And then when you go through the aisles where the candy, where the kids is at, all of the expensive candy is going to be 3 feet. The bullshit is going to be higher. And then the real expensive stuff is going to be in the eye level of the average child. And that's just it's placement marketing. It's putting it in the eye level of the person who's more than likely to buy that. And the stuff at the counter is when you're gonna have your impulsive spending because you're sitting there at the counter, so you just grab a lighter and some bubble gum that you really didn't want, and a magazine that you ain't even gonna look at because you're just standing there. Or you got the cooler with the water in it, the cold sodas and waters right there, because you're sitting there. Now you think you're thirsty because you're sitting there looking at it. But they put it in the level of the woman, because y'all do the most shopping, and the child, because y'all bring the children with y'all. So that's why it's the little freezer there by the register and not the big one that's eye level with the man. Because most men, we ain't gonna buy that shit just because we standing there. that's a woman thing, or a child, because they standing there in line with you. They start saying they thirsty because they eye level with the Nestea in the cabinet, right? But these are things that I instill in my daughters, and that we should be instilling in our children, and create bosses or even good workers. They don't have to be just work. These children don't even want to work. These children don't even want to work. They're so entitled. They just think everything is to be given to them and handed to them for free. And then we wonder why these people come across the border and work their behinds off, to the point where they'll hire them before they hire your children. Why? Because they know what your children come with. They don't want to work. They're entitled. They want to leave early. They want to come late. They want to talk on their phone. They don't want to mess their nails up. They don't want to sweat their hair out. And work as a fashion show. Oh man, you got to see these young people I work with. I thank you for the info. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. But this is just about the generations, man, and our children, and how we we are failing them, how we're failing our children, man, for the most part. And I'm not saying you particularly or me particularly. I'm talking about globally, not a race thing, just on this planet. Well, in America, we're failing our children horribly, and they're falling behind on everything. And this is why we're in the state that we're in now. And man, my city, New York City, is horrible, y'all. It's horrible. These children are just unaliving each other at an alarming rate, man. You know what I'm saying? This ain't Chicago. This ain't and these is good kids. And that was the meaning of this whole live right here. These kids ain't even hardened children. They're not hardened criminals. They're not gangsters. I don't. I've been out there. I know these are real good kids, but they're indoctrinated by this music. They're indoctrinated by the music. They coming from homes where they got everything they need and want, so they don't have to rob and steal or do the things they're doing. They're committing these acts for fun. They're living a video game. They're living Grand Theft Auto. They're watching the little Dirks and these Chicago rappers who live in a place where they're 500 unalive each other at an alarming rate. The Philadelphias and these places, and children in these good homes listening to the music. And I said it on the other live. It's like how we collected baseball cards and we collected comic books. And you used to look at the back of the comic book, the comic book, and you seen all the powers that the superhero had. And you'd be like, oh, he could see through walls and he can fly, and he could do, it was all these different things for our superheroes. Or we looked at the back of the basketball card and we say, oh, he averaged 25 points and he was 80% from the 3-point line. These were the stats that we read, and these were the people we idolized. Now they idolize the drill rappers, and they say, well, King Von, he unalived 6 people. He unalived this many people. Oh, and Little Dirk, they unalived this one, and NBA YoungBoy, they call NBA YoungBoy the new Michael Jackson. This is a brother who's in his circumference, in his circle, they done unalive 15, 20 people. He done lost 7, 8 of his closest companions have been unalived and gunned down due to gang violence. And they're saying NBA YoungBoy, and I don't know if y'all know who he is, but it stands for Never Broke Again, right? So NBA YoungBoy, they saying is the new Michael Jackson, and these children are falling out at his shows. They're sleeping out in front of his shows and everything. This guy is a gangbanger, and he hangs around with murderers, and they're involved in murdering people. And this is who your children in the African American community, Latino community, this is who they listening to. This is who they're idolizing. So these are the baseball cards. These are the comic books, and their stats are unaliving people and going back and forth to prison, and 7, 8 baby mothers. Because I think the young NBA young boy, he probably got 3 or 2. I can't remember. I don't think he's 35 yet. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's that old. And it's sad too because you can't tell the ages of these people no more. You can't tell the ages. You listen to the music and you think this guy's in his 20s and he might be 36, 37. But his crowd, he's been had this crowd for the last 15 years since he was 20. So he has the same crowd. As his group gets older and older, he's still marketed towards the 15, 16-year-olds. He may be 36, but he's talking about the lifestyle of the 16, 17-year-olds, and they're actually trying to live up to that lifestyle as they're playing the Grand Theft Auto, you know, with the gang banging and carjacking and all of this stuff with this music in the background. So they're programming them to be murderous or hoodlums, lazy, disrespectful. They're out of tap with reality and humanity, and they're almost robotic in their responses and their reaction to human shit. For real. I seen a video the other day when um the kid was drowning. I don't know, was it in Brooklyn? I don't remember. The person was drowning and the people were sitting there recording. Nobody jumped in. You know how many videos? Put it in the chat if you know what I'm saying. How many times you see a video with somebody getting, I seen this lady getting attacked by a dog. Her and the baby was getting attacked by the dog, and there was multiple people recording. Nobody jumped in to help. Somebody was drowning. Nobody jumped in to help. This guy ripping this lady out of the car with her children in the car, and everybody's recording and nobody's stopping to help. The teenagers, before they unalive the other teenager, bullying them, picking on them, smacking them, and beating on them. 30 something kids there, nobody's stopping to help. You know why? Because they lack empathy, no value of life whatsoever, none whatsoever. And these video games and the music and these movies are promoting that lifestyle. And we're just allowing them to be entertained. We're allowing them something to enter them and to captivate them and to hold them in that state of darkness. In that state of darkness. This has to be the last days. Christ or someone has to be on their way to save the people because this is terrible. This is terrible, y'all. And every day I pray for these babies, man. I pray for them. And like the Bible says, like I say to y'all all the time, in my spiritual light and in my spiritual mind, I see them as babies. Even when they be in their 30s, I see even some of the people I grew up with, I see them as babies. And I hurt for them. And just pray that they find love and light and heal themselves and their souls so they have a better afterlife. And they don't got to come back down here to this death and despair and destruction because that's all that's here. And I try not to be the doomsdayer and stay stuck on that vibration, but it's crazy down here, y'all. It's super crazy down here. We're in the last days. Demonic spirits are getting on everyone. Yes. And you got to stay vigilant. You got to stay vigilant. You got to stay prayed up. You got to stay meditated up. You got to stay in a holy state of mind. Yeah, people are waking up, but it's not the young people though. It's not the young people. We ain't gonna be this ain't our war to fight. A lot of the young people are not waking up. People are waking up, but it's not the young people. The young people are still asleep. So what happens in the next 10, 15, because they say the generation is 15 years, but I say it's like 25. But 20 years from now, when I'm 67, 20 years from now, when I'm 67, I ain't gonna say I'm gonna be too old to fight, but I'm gonna say this. Can we trust that the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds in 25 years are gonna be adequate to fight or adequate to heal? What is this planet gonna look like? Are we still gonna have shit? What's gonna be here? Because it's gonna be in their hands. It ain't gonna be in our hands, it's gonna be in their hands. We're still gonna be here in another 25 years. But anyway, y'all, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for being here with me. I appreciate the chat. If you well, I guess you subscribe. Share the live if you like the live. I'll probably be back on here tonight at 12. I haven't been on here a while, but I'm gonna be back on here tonight at 12. I'm doing this video on the vessel. There's this thing called the vessel in New York City. It's called the vessel, y'all. And there has been a couple of suicides at this site called the vessel. And I've been putting together a little video and stuff about that. I might come on here and talk about that tonight, which is one of my favorite topics. I call it territorial spirits. Um, I'm waiting on a couple books that I have on territorial spirits, and territorial spirits are, I believe, are what dwells at something like the vessel. That is, thank you so much, Yoli. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for that. Y'all be safe and y'all be blessed. I'll probably be back on here 12 tonight. If not, definitely 12 tomorrow. I'll definitely be on here 12 tomorrow. Parasites. Oh no, yeah, parasites. You have spiritual parasites, you have physical parasites. A physical parasite could be a demon, a spiritual parasite could be a demon, and vice versa. Vice versa. It's something that's basically attaches itself to you and lives off your life force. Like I said, demons and parasites, any energetic attachment can be anything. It's the same as saying, what's a bug? It's a thousands of bugs. It's thousands of ants, thousands of bees, flies, fleas. There's a bunch of stuff. So when you talk about parasites, what kind of parasites? You have physical parasites, you have spiritual parasites. Same thing with demonic forces and energies. It's all energy, y'all. That's all it is. A parasite is something that attaches itself to you and it feeds off of your energy. Some speed feed off of physical energy, some feed off of spiritual or emotions and anger and energy. It's all energetic. It's an energetic exchange. And tonight's video is going to be on that. It's going to be on the vessel particularly, and how they made this thing in Harbor Yard in Manhattan over a site that was called in the 1800s. It was called Death Avenue because the train kept hitting people in this particular spot. So they just built up this spot in 2020 and they paved it over and they put this thing up there called the vessel. And in 2 years, four people unalived themselves at the vessel. And I believe that the energy is trapped there. Even before the 1800s, the 17 and 1800s, when the train was unaliving people, if before the train, in Midtown Manhattan, probably when those white folks came in there and unalived them Indians for that land, it probably disturbed some spirits there, and them spirits probably been stuck there. So the train unaliving, and now people unaliving themselves at that site called the vessel. That's because those spirits are still stuck there, and this is what goes on in a lot of these neighborhoods. In a lot of these places here in this hemisphere of America, y'all got to remember, most of these major cities were um ancient land for a lot of the indigenous people. And when the pilgrims or the conquistador or whatever, when they came over here and they got the unaliving them people, some of them spirits are still in some of these cities. And this is why we have to stay prayed up and keep a force for a shield of protection. This is what the Bible talks about in Ephesians, the 6th chapter, 10 through 17, keeping a force for a shield of protection, because we're not at war with flesh and blood. We're at war with principalities and rulers and darkness of the heavenly realm and the higher and lower dimensions. So we must always remain vigilant. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back on 12 tonight. If not, definitely 12 tomorrow. I'm gonna try to be more active on here. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. Thank y'all so much. Peace, love, and light to the collective.